Hey, what's up, Grappling Theologians? Bradley Burdett here. Just want to continue our discussion from yesterday that we're just grappling with these verses out of Ephesians 1, verses 3 through 10. Talked about yesterday this idea that in verse 3, where Paul says that God has blessed us with every spiritual blessing in the heavenly realm in Christ Jesus. And so I want to read the next couple verses. It says here in verse 4, even before he made the world, God loved us and chose us in Christ to be holy and without fault in his eyes. Verse 5, God decided in advance to adopt us into his own family by bringing us into himself through Jesus Christ. This is what he wanted to do, and it gave him great pleasure. God chose us. He loved us before the beginning of the world. Before the world even began, he knew about you and me. He knew about our families. He knew everything. And he knew it, and he said, I'm choosing y'all. I love you. He knew about the fall. He knew that sin was going to come into the world. He knew that we were going to reject him. And yet Romans 5:8 says that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That's how much he loved us. Imagine that. Imagine that. And all the sin and all the messes that we make, and the continual rejection and the continual turning our backs on him, he says, I loved you and I still chose you. And he goes on to say that he's actually adopted us. He's adopted us into God's family. It's as if once we come into God's family, it's as if we've always been in God's family. It's not like he looks at you and says, hey, you're an adopted child. No, we are God's child. We're God's children. And the great thing about adoption is, regardless of what our past was, we are now children of God. The past is gone, and we can lay claim to everything that Christ has provided for us, that God has provided for us through Christ. So that's a big thing. What we talked about yesterday, every spiritual blessing he's blessed us with, those are ours to claim. What is that? We talked about it a little bit yesterday. But every promise in the Bible is now ours. Every promise we can lay hold to. Every promise we can claim as children of God. So when I'm studying the Word, and again, it's always helpful to take just a verse, 2 verses, 3 verses, and just chew on those. Go find verses that correlate to it. Go find verses that confirm it. And so I did that. Just thinking about this idea of adoption. Romans 8, starting in verse 15, this is what it says. It says, so you have not received a spirit of fear. Instead, you received God's Spirit when he adopted you into his family as his own children. Now we call him Abba, Father. For his Spirit joins with our spirit and confirms that we are God's children. There's no need to be afraid. Doesn't matter where you've come from. God's adopted you. Leave the past in the past. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says that when we come into this relationship with Christ, we're born again. But it says that the old is gone, the new has come. So God's not looking at your past. So why are we living in the past? Yeah, and there's things that we have to deal with. There's consequences from our past. I get that. But we don't need to stay in that mindset. And that's where the devil wants to keep us. He wants to keep you in the past. He doesn't want you to believe or to remember or to read that God chose you, God chose me, God loved us before the beginning of the world, as the word says. That's a promise that we can hold on to. When the devil comes at you and says, hey man, you're no different than you were before this Christ thing, tries to shame us of our past, of our sin, we can say, no, I'm a new creation in Christ. God chose me. He loved me before the beginning of the world, and he has adopted me into his family, and I am now a child of God. So just a little encouragement this morning or today. Be in the Word, grapple with the Word. One of the great ways that I like to grapple with the Word is to share it with other people, which is what I do on this channel. But then I share it with others. I send out text messages and say, hey man, this is what God spoke to me today. And just that back and forth conversation it really provides some additional insight into what God's sharing, what God's speaking to you. So find somebody to share it with. Hey man, this is Bradley Burdett, Grappling Theologians. Love you guys. Peace.